What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, continuing my deep dive into all things Neil Young. Today I'm going to rave and rant about his archival release, Songs for Judy. I think I've ranted and raved in a positive way about every archival release from Neil Young. They're all fantastic. This one is a sort of a themed release. Neil did a tour in November of 1976. It was an opening sort of acoustic set. He played a bunch of acoustic songs, and there was an electric set. This is not every single performance that was played in the acoustic set, but Songs for Judy collects one version, one performance of every song that was played over the course of, I think it was like a 3-week tour, a 22-day tour. 22 songs in total. They are sequenced, as Neil tends to do with these things, in chronological order. So the first songs are from the first shows, the last songs are from the final shows. So while it's not a complete show, over the course of the songs, you do get sort of the energy of a complete tour in a really weird sort of way. For those of you new to this channel, before I go any further, I have blepharitis still. This eye's still a little bit closed and swollen, hence the sunglasses. Plus, it matches the opening squirrel shot. But anyways, back to this release. It came out in 2018. It's one of his archival releases. It's volume 7. A number of these songs were released on Archives 3. So if you have Archives 3, I think I counted them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them were on there. But this is all 22. This is a fantastic release. I mean, it's acoustic Neil, either acoustic guitar, piano. For Old Man Needs a Maid, he is on the string man, I guess he's playing, is what it's called. There's some banjo, of course, there's a harmonica. And the track listing is just fantastic. I think the actual sequencing of the track listing is super fantastic. I'm going to talk about that in a while, especially the last 2 songs. I think the last 2 songs in particular, Pocahontas, which had yet to be released, Sugar Mountain, which in earlier sort of late 60s, early 70s show, Neil was already not particularly disavowing, but sort of like, I wrote this when I was younger, 25 now. I wrote this when I was 20. Still a brilliant song, but I'm a little bit ashamed of these young lyrics. But it's interesting to have those 2 songs paired at the end. It provides a very Pocahontas, which I think ranks as one of his all-time great songs, a slightly different version. He messes with the ending. The ending is not quite just Marlon Brando. We get some other names dropped in there. It sort of, I think, undercuts the power of the performance, but this is not the final version. So, but it's neat to have Pocahontas, kind of the direction we're going, a continuation of themes that he'd already done in previous releases. This is 76. This would not be released yet. And then to follow that and to end the entire thing with Sugar Mountain, a song I'm not the biggest fan of, probably the most played song on LA radio back in the 70s. Like I said, even one he was like, these are me when I was youthful. Still brilliant. But to hear this version of Neil after all the songs that precede it, you have Campaigner with a shout out to Richard Nixon. You have Pocahontas with sort of the tackling of an entire genocide. You have Roll Another Number for the Road and these Tonight the Night type songs. You have the hits. It is just really neat to go through these 21 songs and then have Sugar Mountain waiting at the end. I think this might be my favorite performance of that, simply because of where it is on this. It's sort of it's still Neil. I mean, Neil doesn't really do much, but it has a looser sort of end of the tour type quality. I think it is from the final show of the tour. Might have been the actual final song because it is the late show. But yeah, 22 songs, 23 tracks because there's an intro. He's talkative. The first track is nothing but him talking, though he is kind of riffing the song that would come next. He also has cute little introductions, little jokes here and there. It's a very loose, feel-good Neil collection. It's just such an incredible listen. I teach kindergarten, and we're dealing with some like little issues at the school right now about sort of the direction of our school for the next couple of years. We're in Texas, a conservative state. I teach at a very liberal school. There, it's an interesting time for us. I came home the other night and I put this on, and it was just like, take me away, Calgon. Just like regardless of what he's singing about, there is something so comforting about Neil. I think I've been listening to a lot of Dylan also lately, and I do think as far as solo acoustic performers go, I think Neil's top of the tier. I think Neil is the first face on Mount Rushmore. I've seen a. It's not my favorite. I'm an electric guy. I'm a noise guy. I will take electricity over acoustic anytime. I think Neil is always the exception to that rule and might be the best at it just because of his voice, the way he's able to convey emotion, just the way he plays the instrument. His songs are suitable to both electricity and acoustic. Fantastic. What do we have on here? The track listing is fantastic. You have a number of sort of hits. Heart of Gold is on here. After the Gold Rush is on here. What else is on here that's sort of a hit? The Needle and the Damage Done, but they're kind of like, we get two early, we get one late. Sort of the live Neil faves are on here. Love is a Rose, which gets a huge response from the crowd, which is kind of cool. Oh, Mr. Soul is on here. Great performance of Mr. Soul. We get Roll Another Number for the Row, which is kind of a favorite. We get Harvest, which is a great version of Harvest. Old Laughing Lady, which includes the Guilty Train sort of tease at the end. Some really nice mix of like the hits, the sort of neo-classics, and a bunch of stuff that at the time was unreleased. One song which would be released for the first time on this release, and then a number of songs which would not see release for a couple years, or one of them not until Ragged Glory. So it's a great mix of tunes, and it's just sequenced perfectly. Opens up with Songs for Judy intro, in which Neil is talking about a lot of things. People are yelling requests. He acknowledges he remembers these tunes. He remembers that sometimes he doesn't like to play them because what makes you stronger can also kill you, or something like that. The tension between playing the hits and those hits being the thing that ultimately made you want to stop playing. And then he talks this story about seeing Judy Garland in the orchestra pit, and Judy's got music with her, and she looks up at him, and she's like, "How's the business, Neil?" or something like that. And then, so all of this is sort of a hallucinatory dedication to Judy Garland. And these are all songs for Judy. Before Sugar Mountain, he invites Judy back on the stage, which, for us, it's like a hour plus listening experience, but that actually invite him on the stage happens like 22 days later. So that conceptual continuity he's bringing to the tour is pretty cool. Too Far Gone is the first song he plays. He sounds intoxicated. He sounds like he's too far gone, but he's having a great time. He's throwing little ad-libs in between the verses, like explaining, like, I got to turn the radio off, or I was at a bar when this happened, and really loose and fun. A fantastic version of this song, which would not see release until Freedom. Then we get No One Seems to Know, which I believe was released for the first time ever on here, a piano ballad. The melody reminds me not necessarily of the vocals, but the intro piano part, it kind of as a theme that recurs, of Barry Manilow's, I think it's Weekend in New England, just sort of this like longing, reminiscent, sort of nostalgic, tender type melody. Absolutely perfect. It's a great song. And then we get Heart of Gold, which is the perfect drop. Especially if you were like, if this was in real time and this was the real show, two songs you don't know, and then we get a really nice Heart of Gold. Excellent drop. Heart of Gold in real time goes right into White Line, song that would not be released until Ragged Glory. Fantastic. Probably one of my favorite Neil songs. Definitely one of my favorite from this release. It's just really nice to hear an acoustic version of this song. Love is a Rose, huge audience reaction. After the Gold Rush, which he dedicates to all the freeways in Texas, or to the fact that Texas has so many freeways. I don't know if we have a lot of freeways. Maybe back in the 70s we had more than other states, but we definitely have big freeways. And this is from Houston. Houston is obscene. Like, you hit the city limits of Houston at like, if you're driving to Houston and you hit the city limits at like noon, you don't hit downtown till like 4 p.m. It's a ridiculous place. Freeways all over the place. We get a nice After the Gold Rush. We get a Human Highway, which is pretty nice. Wouldn't be released until What Comes a Time. Tell Me Why. Nice Tell Me Why. Get a little bit of an audience reaction to that. Mr. Soul, which sounds fantastic. I think every time he brings back Mr. Soul, like as he would do later in the 80s, it always works. I just think it's kind of it's a weird little song that kind of will adapts to acoustic, to electric, to whatever, to synths, to whatever Neil's doing with it. Something about Mr. Soul just has this timeless quality about it. A Mellow My Mind, great song choice, great track choice, fantastic. Give Me Strength, which I also don't think was released until the archives, right? I think that was the first time that came out. Give Me Strength, a great version of that. A Man Needs a Maid, which he does on the String Man, some like organy type thing. It seems like he's teasing Like a Hurricane at the very beginning of this. It seems like, maybe that's just me. Interesting. I do think this worked better in the 70s, and it is one of those that maybe just kind of stands out a little, maybe because he's on this string man sort of organy instrument, maybe because the song is one of his most peculiar type songs, but it works where it is because you have Give Me Strength, A Man Needs a Maid, and then we go right into Roll Another Number for the Road, always a good song. Journey Through the Past, fantastic, fantastic piano song. We get Harvest. Love the choice to bring back Harvest. That is one I wish he had always played more often live. Campaigner, a little shout out to Richard Nixon in there. I don't think Campaigner was released by this point. Was Decade in 76 when that dropped? I don't think it dropped until like 77, right? Maybe not. I'm not really sure when Decade dropped, to be perfectly honest with you. Not sure that was released yet. Old Laughing Lady with a little Guilty Train tease at the very end. The Losing End, another fantastic choice of songs to play. Here We Are in the Years, another fantastic choice. Like as we get back towards the back, we're sort of like deep and a little bit deeper and pulling out some slightly deep cuts for some really, really good choices. And the fact that this is towards the end of the tour and the end of the release, maybe, I think it shows that maybe unlike the Dylan, I did not go back and look at all these set lists, I should have. Unlike the Dylan band tour, which I just sort of listened to, when Dylan started dropping all these songs as the tour went on and sort of solidifying the acoustic set, it almost looks like Neil's like, okay, I'm going back even further and pulling out stuff I haven't done, but I probably should have checked that set list, my bad. Then we get The Needle and the Damage done, kind of the perfect time for this. Big audience reaction. We really just had a whole bunch of songs which are for the most part deep cuts, like Journey Through the Past, Time Fades Away was not one of his biggest albums. Harvest is a big hit, but it's not, I don't think it was played a lot. Then you get Campaigner, Old Laughing Lady going farther back, The Losing End, kind of a deep cut. Here We Are in the Years, and then The Needle and the Damage done. This huge reaction from the crowd. And then we close out Pocahontas, a perfect song. Nice little story about he was on a ranch, he was getting high, he wrote this song. Just absolutely fantastic. The only thing is the lyrics. We get a Marlon Brando reference, and I think he references like Ehrlichman. No, not Ehrlichman. Some Nixon admitted, somebody who was in the Nixon cabinet. Then he references, I think, Anne Margaret. And the list of names kind of undercuts the power of the ending. I'm glad that that's something he eventually just stuck with Marlon Brando. And then we get Sugar Mountain. And absolutely, I just think a nice, loose, comfortable, easygoing, great sort of end to this acoustic journey. It's a fantastic live release. How long is it? It's like almost the entire CD. It's 80 minutes, packed to the gills. A fantastic listen. Oh, Give Me Strength was on Hitchhiker. That's right. Give Me Strength was on Hitchhiker. I knew that was on something, not on Archives. It was on Hitchhiker. But it was also on Archives. But anyways, yeah, that's that. Anyways, fantastic listen. Like if you are a fan of Neil Young acoustic, or you aren't a fan and want to figure out how to become a fan, this is the album. Songs for Judy is just a joyful, joyful, joyful listen. I highly recommend it. I don't think I have anything else to say about it other than it's just fantastic. Neil's in a good mood. The sound is fantastic. All of his live stuff. There's one live release, I think, total that doesn't have the best sound. Almost every other Neil Young live release is just fantastic sound. But yeah, I highly recommend this. It's a great album. Check it out if you haven't. Songs for Judy, Neil Young. When I'm done with every single live release, I will just drop a video and rank all of them. I'll just try to figure that out. I kind of have a list that I'm mocking up as I go through this, but I'm not going to drop it till we're done. But anyways, because I like lists. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment. And yeah, peace. Talk to you later.